Caitlyn Lux combination, so I trust Trigo and Redbird here to be successful early on. And well, they might try and kick things off level 1 here, but a good ward from JoJo means no extra, spiciness before minute 2 here. But and to get back to my main point, Caitlyn Lux is the king of that aggression in the bottom lane, so I really lean that way. And Rise with Cassante scaling up, Vi for single target damage to try and get onto one of these backline targets. I really think Furia out the gate have drafted a lot better, but Fluxo have these powerful early lanes that if they can get going, you're not going to be able to even see a Rise come online or a Cassante really be able to affect the game. But if it's even, things could get pretty bad for Fluxo once we get to the mid and late game in my mind.
Possibility definitely there. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on to the Rift for the first game of this Sunday. The CBLOL season hot underway, and Furia is hard pressed to find some points, to find some wins if they want to connect and keep up with the top of the ladder here in the Brazilian region. And for Fluxo, it's, well, 1-4. I don't think I need to say really anything much about that. They need to win here today because we are approaching slowly but surely this halfway point in the season. And if you want to be competitive for playoffs, man, you gotta start winning. One way or another, bot lane poke is the name of the game for now. Mid lane is going to be relaxed, so is going to be top lane. We'll keep an eye on the junglers, especially Good is going to be the one on a little bit more of the offensive side, I'd say, over the course of the early game. And Maokai, well, maybe we get some early ganks from the tree.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to track how these junglers path towards mid and bot, especially for the side of Decimus here, because he's got not really a lot of options for ganking off the bat, especially you already saw mid lane how House is already shoving Envy in here. He does have options in the top lane as well, but what's most intriguing to me off the bat here, Lithi, is the fact that I was curious what Bruncy was gonna run here on the Varus. It's double Comet bot lane for extra poke, and oh boy, now they have the jungler assist coming.
There is so much pain rolling the way of Furia. They are completely unaware. Decimus with perfect pathing, and this is gonna be what?
The double root?
No way. No way does he just walk out. In the meantime, Good pushing up the mid lane House, completely shoved out of his lane as Decimus is walking over for some assist. But there is no way this was not a first blood for our friends over on the right side. What? I'm at loss for words, man. What the hell?
I'm at shock too. I mean, I don't know where Bruncy was from distance there. You got to step up with your support there and JoJo, but was too far back. Maybe was worried that Trigo would poke him down from distance. And it's a beautiful lineup from Redbird. If he doesn't snare both Decimus and JoJo there, completely dead, and somehow escapes with their life. And I'm just as shocked as you are that we're still killless in this game after such a beautiful gank path.
Yeah, I mean, that's a gift served on a silver platter here for Furia, that they've gotten away from such a good gank, such good pathing like that. It's incredible. Only 2 summoners lost on Redbird, and they get to continue pressuring, at least on the bot lane for the moment. But we do have some more action lined up for the top lane. Tay in a little bit of an awkward spot, but then again, he's trying to crash this wave into the turret, and FMB looking to get the freeze is going to be fine here for the second. And surprisingly high amounts of jungle pressure coming out from both sides in these first 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's intriguing to watch how Decimus is matching Good, because Vi certainly can get on Summoner's Rift and start ganking very, very early on. But both these champions also like to wait for their ultimates to come online. But we've seen so much pressure, and it's because we have stark lane differences on both sides. Kind of, you already saw how Decimus could line up a gank onto this Caitlyn Lux bot lane that we've been hammering is just going to be turbo aggressive. And then Good is going to be able to punish House a lot, who's going to try and shove in this Rise. So I expect us to see a lot more ganking constantly across these lanes, especially because nobody's really found an edge yet. We're still deadlocked
That's
at maybe 300 gold difference.
that's kind of the thing, though, right? You'd expect this bot lane to be aggressive as hell, but look at Redbird and Trigo. Slow push, not looking for too much poke. Redbird getting shoved out of lane. So this Varus Misfortune lane definitely on the upper side of this matchup at the moment.
They certainly are, but the intriguing thing is Caitlyn Lux, and especially from Trigo, is kind of built to scale up and be effective later in the game. When you run double Comet, sure, it's doing a lot of extra damage now, but how well can that really translate into those later fights? Not so well, as you can see, Goot's already showing up here. I don't believe he was spotted at all, but still a backup here from the Fluxo bot lane, and oh boy, we might be crashing for a 3v3.
I'd love to see that. Jojo is going in for some slows. Here comes the Vi, the Vault Breaker coming in hard, but Jojo gets to waddle away. He still has the flash available, and Decimus is going
House.
in. The roam from House is good, but can they connect? That's the big question. The Shock Blast is massive. Good going in, and the teleport from Envy serves the silver platter with the first blood for Furia. Beautifully done. They get to follow up and shove everyone out. The roams from mid lane are perfect.
That's the power of this Rise pick. You can allow House to go down first. As oh boy.
Oh, yep, re-aggression here from House. It gets traded, and there comes Jojo with the heal. Envy probably gets to walk away from this as Trigo is in the area to assist, but still another kill coming in this first game of this Sunday, and it is traded back for Fluxo. That is not what Furia was looking for after that successful bot lane skirmish.
They might have even had a shot there trying for that first Drake, that Mountain Drake, but Goot just gets caught out there by House. But the original play here, the power that Envy has, sure, he's getting shoved in early constantly, is that he can allow House to roam down here. As we get a bit of a replay look here, Goot just couldn't line up much more damage across, and now Decimus trying to cut off the bot lane. House gets here first, but Realm Warp will trump that roam. He's able to drop right on top of Brunsey thanks to that control ward. They didn't even see the Realm Warp come across, and all of a sudden, hello, Rise pops up here, and now we get a better look at Goot, who I guess just walks up too far for a ward clear and just doesn't respect that early Jace damage. And really clutch heal here from Jojo. Interesting to see we have both supports running heal, and it's paid dividends twice now for once each side already in this game.
Well done. And now with everything going down, we've got a BF sword in the bags of Trigo. And now you can see the Caitlyn stepping up, bullying Brans and Jojo out of lane here for a moment. And this is where the game is going to pick up some steam, I'd imagine. As you mentioned, the Drake on the board, the Herald up as well, which is getting pinged by Decimus already. So we'll see the objectives, or these contests for the objectives come in now. And I'm really curious what the teams can make happen with those on the board. Especially the first Herald for some turret platings could be incredibly impactful, both in mid lane and top lane for Fluxo.
Yeah, it's crazy to think the bot lane combination we have, nobody's actually been able to capitalize on those turret plates, and there's not too much time left to really try and get some of these plates down. You can see in the mid lane, Envy has done a decent amount of work towards that mid side, but it's going to be really hard to get a push onto House here. And like you mentioned there, Lithy, it seems like the priority for fighting might just have to come from these neutral objectives. And Furia, pretty brash here. They're going to start up on the good old Shelly here before even clearing out the pink wards. So Fluxo definitely has an idea this is going down, but F&B really just seems to have top lane on a lock. Don't know how much contesting they even want to do, but they're coming over.
They need to contest now if they want to go for it. Herald dropping low, the smite comes in. Can they get the eye and get out? It seems like it. Great timing here by Furia. Now they just need to be careful to not run into this open net. Beautiful back timing here as well from Trigo and Redbird. Fluxo had to be very much aware of that bot lane possibly joining since they didn't have vision on them. And overall, just a well-timed execution here on that Herald take.
This is one thing that I like to see from the CBLOL that I get angry watching other leagues do, is when Rift Herald becomes a priority, that first one, you see a lot of teams bring like the entire army Ooh, Redbird. Yeah, gotta be careful with that poke damage from distance. They bring the entire team over to try and contest these Rift Heralds, and I hate pulling these AD carries away from their lanes. You saw there this time, both teams actually left their respective AD carry players, their marksmen in the bottom lane there. JoJo certainly roamed up a little bit late, and Redbird was coming over to scout vision, but leaving those AD carries to farm is very beneficial as we have another neutral objective getting taken.
Any Drextitus? Nope.
Nope.
Nope. They certainly went for it. They tried to grab it, but it didn't work out. So it's going to be a Mountain Drake first off here for Fluxo. And that's a little bit of a trade back here compared to that Herald. So you are setting yourself up for the later stages of the game as we have the Twisted Advance coming in. The ultimate on the bot lane, and Trigo just straight up cleanses it, doesn't give a damn, and just walks away from it.
Interesting to see there that Redbird also went for the heal. I'm assuming it was for the speed up. Maybe just wanted to play it safe to make sure that the Decimus couldn't get on top of them, or maybe the Brunsey couldn't land those chains of corruption from distance to force, because Trico could only cleanse one of those big stuns. Here we go with an invade from Good. Wow, really wants to punish.
Bold. Does have Envy's backup, who has shoved in his mid lane. That blue is stolen away, and Brans and Jojo are a little bit too slow to assist. Deep wards all over the place as well here, set by Good, and with that, they do have the Herald for bot lane to have the shove in on that wave, so maybe a turret plating or two that can go over to Trigo and Redburn. This would be massive to bounce this Caitlyn further ahead into the game. That's what, not even... Was that 2 platings? That was 2 platings barely, right?
Yeah, I believe that was 2 platings, but barely is exactly the point to make there. And I was intrigued. The original neutral objective trade is the first Drake for Rift Herald. Usually, it's more beneficial to get the first Rift Herald over one standing Drake, but now it being used for just, simply knocking down 2 plates is, oh boy.
That's a caught out Jace. He's trying for a little bit of fancy schmancy plays, but the flashes come in and Good knocks him out. House showing off that he has the mechanical ability, why he is one of the people you should be watching for in CBLOL in the mid lane, but still, 2-man gank is more than enough to take him out in this case. A quick Black Cleaver coming in for Good afterwards. Envy very, very happy with the state of mid lane currently. But the lane swap coming in from Fluxo as well, putting Brans and Jojo right smack dab in the middle of the map.
This is a very intriguing play to move them over kind of earlier than you'd expect here, because you just leave Trigo, Caitlyn, who definitely outscales a Comet Rune Varus here that is going lethality based too, which will fall off even further. This Caitlyn's gonna be able to scale up well, so Trigo's certainly in a good position to perform unless he's caught.
Yep, and there's the bullet time and all the pain Fluxo can inflict on someone. It's a quick kill, and the board evened out already once again. 2 for 2 in the skill department currently.
Ooh.
Oh, as FNB is going all out, the taunt for strikes are connecting. Tay still has that ultimate, but sadly, that last slam doesn't quite connect. Otherwise, FNB would have been looking at an easy solo kill in the top lane here. And that is what you have to watch out with this, man. FNB is one of the best top laners you find in CBLOL, and he is proving that once again.
I think K'Sante just complements his playstyle so well. I think K'Sante in general as a champion is one of the coolest, most dynamic champions I think Riot has released in the last couple champions we've seen, because you look at K'Sante, he's just this tank that, can become unstoppable at points, block a lot of damage, do a lot of CC to set up his team. But once he goes all out, everything changes. His dashes become sped up, his damage gets retooled and overclocked, and he can go from the tank that you don't have to worry about and kind of ignore at the beginning of the fights and try to target a backline to, oh my god, he just blew up our AD carry. So I'm really interested to see how FNB can helm K'Sante and really just change these fights completely for Furia.
Absolutely. You brought up the mid to late game earlier already, right, for Furia. It's gonna be a treat to watch. But we got to talk about a little bit of the itemization here, because not just have we gotten a little bit of a lethality angle for both House and Brans, we got to talk about the Bloodthirster first item for Trigo, because that is a direct adaptation to the amount of poke being thrown at Furia here.
Yeah, it's really an interesting itemization choice because you're playing for that lane poke, like you mentioned, but you got to think that a degree of it will fall off as you shift into the mid game. Obviously, you're still going to have arrows coming your way, and you're going to have JoJo, raining bullets to drop extra combat damage. But how is that going to affect Caitlyn's already kind of slow mid game, trying to build up for those big crit shots? It might become pretty detrimental. So this itemization choice could become pretty questionable if Trigo gets put in spots where he has to really dole out the damage in a fight, and you're expecting a lot of attack speed, crits over
The
top.
thing is right. The thing is right. If we're looking at the lineup that Fluxo is running here, it is overall very, very squishy, right? The only proper tank on this lineup is Decimus on the Maokai. It's probably not the Caitlyn's job to kill that tree, and everyone else dies pretty quickly, even if you go for a Bloodthirster first item. But first, we have a little bit of a skirmish going on in the bot lane.
Ooh.
Oh, the wombo combo on the ult. Good. Barely manages to dash out. Lots of pressure coming in here from Fluxo, forcing Furia away from this bot side and this dragon. But they can only barely go for it. In the top lane, it is FMB trading the first turret of the game on his Cassante.
Yeah, now this dragon stacking is certainly becoming a problem, as we're going to get an Ocean Soul, certainly.
No,
oh, boy.
Unlucky. Oh, the Vault Breaker connecting, cease and desist, and House says, what the hell do you think I am? I'm still the mid laner. I'm taking you down with me. 1-for-1 in the bot lane. Good reactions here from the Jays, but we do have FMB teleporting in behind the back line. Bronze and Jojo, they need to walk out of fear quickly. All out coming in. Bronze gets saved by his jungler, though. All the CC in the book is there, and no follow-up for FNB. Little bit too aggressive here by Furia's top laner, and gets heavily punished for it.
I was about to talk up FMB. Rarely do you see a 0-0-0 champion with a bounty, but FMB was just dominating and toppling through a lot of the micro plays you could see in that lane, and just immediately throws all that out the wall by trying to go 1 versus 3 with no team support. And now Furia, it's really going to cost them a mid turret and likely a Rift Herald as well off the boot. FNB really slayed himself to be the dynamic player for team fights later, but I didn't mean that he could be 1v3ing onto the backline of Fluxio.
Especially with the amount of defensives you lose when you press that Cassandra ultimate, right? So, another point we need to talk about is this 1v2 in the bot lane. How's incredibly dangerous already. We can see that on the Jace. And combined with this mid lane attempt at a play here by Furia, they are starting to set themselves even further back, considering they've had such a good start into the game. Still, of course, we got to talk about the gold lead. That is still 1.6, a little bit, almost 2k, somewhere around that line for Furia at the moment. But let's be honest, that is not an amount of gold at 18, 19 minutes. That is really securing the mid game. Maybe the season is this year with the wombo combo. The ult comes in, the flash after by Envy, and immediately Jojo down for the count. The follow-up damage good as well. They're forcing Decimus out, and before House can join the party, Furia gets away with daylight robbery.
They're just gonna keep getting away with that too, because I like how you brought up earlier when we were talking about the Bloodthirster itemization from Trigo, that Fluxio is just so squishy outside of that Maokai. Well, that means that it's free pickings here for Goot with the cease and desist. Sure, maybe you don't want to do them on top of Tay when that Kale ultimate is online and can be used on teammates. So it'll be interesting to see how they try and use cease and desist when Tay is present, because they'll be able to save whoever gets jumped on. But if Kale's not around, you could pick anybody except the tree maybe to jump on top to. House will get blown up by this combo, Brunsey and Jojo as well. So yeah, if they could keep finding ways to jump onto these squishies away from a pick saving ult like that Kale ultimate, this is just going to be rinse and repeat for Furia.
Indeed. And right at that point, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the other items coming in. House already having that Muramana completed. I'm a little bit worried about Bronze, I'll be honest with you, because that is just a Yomu's and, well, a tier that's almost fully stacked. is missing a little bit of gear here, but finally the next Dirk comes in. So a little bit more damage, but still, that's not a very strong Varus right now for the Fluxo bot side. We got another Herald plop down that's going to take out the tier 1 in the top side. A little bit of extra gold here for House and Decimus. But outside of that, overall, very much a power spike moment that we are looking at here at the moment for Furia. But still, Fluxo looking for a fight. That's a root coming in. Trigo locked it down and immediately taken out. Gu trying to go in for a little bit of a trade, but overstepped. Such a massive blunder here. And Fluxo immediately not just take the finger, they take off the whole arm of Furia. And they could be eyeing up a 20-minute Baron.
Oh my god, they might have just taken out the head because that play felt kind of no-brain. You can't go for that if you're Furia. Your entire team right now, a lot of your damage is through this powerful rise in Envy. So when you have him off to the side lane, you have no business shoving mid-wave, and they might just pay the king price for that misplay.
Yep, Baron is done. FNB can just stand and watch, and this is an absolute disaster for Furia here. And it all starts off with this massive chain of corruption by Brands, locking down FNB and Trigo. Easy follow-up here for Decimus with his ultimate afterwards, and it's just cleaned house. Beautiful reaction here.
Beautiful reaction indeed. I mean, you can run cleanse all you want, Trigo, but there's way too much crowd control coming your way if you're going to press into mid lane like that. Chains of corruption over top with those grasping roots from Maokai. It's going to be hard to back that off, and you think the hope is you can split up Fluxio from their 5v5, but it looks like they're bringing it right back, trying to cut off the escape for Furia. Good job, though, from them to stop the Drake stacking at least.
Yeah, really, really good call to get this Ocean Drake out of the way. As you mentioned, Drake stacking, you want to deny that as much as possible. So we do not get Soul Point this time around for Fluxo. They need to wait another 5 minutes for that Ocean Soul. And, I mean, let's be honest, Ocean Soul is one of the best things that could have happened to Fluxo in this whole scenario, right? With how much poke you are running, just having this constant sustain of health and mana to just keep chugging at the enemy is a lovely, lovely thing. On top of that, we have the Baron power play already up to 2k gold, and they are just matching side waves with side waves. And this is going to be a second tier 2 turret about to fall without Furia being able to contest this.
Yeah, they're going to try and move up here, but FNB, flashless Cassante, really hard to go for any sort of plays, and yep, that tier 2 will drop, and Fluxio, they're not even done. They want to advance further. Twisting Advance comes across. Dismiss doesn't find anything, but it was a bit of a zoning technique there. And, you know, I really haven't gotten to touch on the Kayle, as oh boy, Envy might have gotten picked. Actually will be just fine. And they're going to go forward, though, try to get House.
Yep, that's a quick flash coming in from Decimus. House gets to waddle away. They don't even get the Maokai, but this is the stuff Furia needs to look for right now. If they want to get back into this game and do something against this snowball that is building up, rolling down the mountainside for Fluxo at the moment, they need some picks. They need to find some angles.
They have to, and it plays, that is their composition as well with this Vi selected, and oh boy, they might be getting wrapped on here by the power scaling Jace.
Yep, Redbird a little bit out of position, and just as they are looking for picks, so is Fluxo. They are a little bit more successful though, and with the items they have just grabbed from this Baron power play, it's up to 3k now. That's a solid net worth they were able to grab for themselves. So now in the lead with almost, well, these 3k from this Baron power play, and more turrets to come. It is running out for Furia slowly but surely here.
They're just, Fluxo is just rotating so well as a team. The macro is really on point here. They utilize that power play to, you know, beautifully, and they've claimed 4. They're making it a 5th tower, and they're going for kills too.
Yep, bring in the bullet time, bring in another tier 2, Envy dropping lower and lower, almost gets taken down. No empowered shock blast, otherwise that would have been a freebie for House here. And with the 3rd tier 2 down for the count, the base is all but barren here for Furia. 43,000 gold. That's 4k a lead at the moment. And if we are checking out the items here for a second, that's almost a completed Muramana for bronze as well. We got 2 items on the Kayle with a Rod of Ages as well as the Nashor's Tooth. 2 items on basically everyone, almost the third item, approaching here, and just in time for the Baron to respawn in the next 2 minutes. Man,
Yeah,
this
it's
is
just
not
such a
looking
different
good.
game.
Oh,
It's such a different game.
yeah, good. Still looking for some plays, but he made the math without that KL ultimate. Still, it is FMB in the backline, and the damage still is insane. Envy goes golden, and it's gonna be good enough, but maybe now the turnaround. Trigo finally gets to pop off the Caitlyn with some damage, and the Chase ultimately does die. It takes forever, but he is down for the count. Double kill for Trigo, and this is the kind of fights Furia wanted. Get the Caitlyn underway, make sure she can stay safe in the backline, and just hammer the damage home.
Yeah, nobody got home to Trigo, but you can see as the damage pops up, Envy did so much work there. Was able to do a lot of original burst damage when Goot went forward with the cease and desist, but then also went golden, bought time for his cooldowns, and just slammed his keyboard as much as he could to churn out as much damage before he dropped. You can see here, great cease and desist forward from Goot here, but Divine Judgment comes across to save Brunsey, but the entire time, the carries for Furia are doing so much work because FMB's in the background causing chaos. Once the turn finally comes out, they've already knocked down the standing tank. Envy with a beautiful root combination, a bunch of damage over top. And like you mentioned, that Caitlyn was just free hitting, and oh boy, the fighting ain't done.
Yep, we are going right back in. Tay is taking some good damage. Divine Judgment coming through. Nice. Sonya's here to dodge that Kate ultimate. And with the flash and the dash, they get out for the moment. Dismiss, slowed, knock back in with a ton for strikes. Bullet time comes through. Browns with some big damage. Get the locks out of here, and the turnaround is coming in hard. Piercing arrows all across the way. The poke is so goddamn devastating. You can barely handle it. Furia, one after the other, they fall. That miracle turnaround fight in the mid lane is not gonna last them for long. Those tier 3 turrets are basically on the menu now. The inhibitors to boot, and maybe we could even push for the end of the game. 40 seconds death timer on this Rise.
They will have Redbird come back up, and the wave, just isn't there just yet. Too many low health bars as well, so they'll just take breaking the base open. But man, what a beautiful long extended fight there from Fluxo. They just play disengaged. They let Furia burn everything, trying to go forward onto Tay, who pops a Divine Judgment, pops Zonia's to keep themselves safe. And once they backed up far enough, they turned the dial up to 11 going forward. And I know I talked about the lethality picks from this Jace, and this Varus can certainly fall off scaling into the late game, but that usually happens when there's enough of a front line to protect your squishies. And if you knock down F&B, those shock blasts are gonna hit some really squishy targets, and those piercing arrows over top as well. That lethality isn't gonna fall off with how squishy the rest of Furia is outside of the top lane.
Indeed. Very much agree with you on that end. Which is why we need to talk about the Drakes a little bit more as well, right? Baron is back up on the menu, so this is going to be the main focus, but still, an Ocean Drake is available, and that is just going to be picked up by Tay right now. A free third dragon here, unless Envy can do something about it. He's not aware that this is happening, so they're just letting it go. Soul Point coming in for Fluxo, and we got the TPs coming through. Cease and desist with a laser follow-up. This time around doesn't quite hit, and the damage is good enough to take out Good. Envy into the back line already. Has to run for the hills, but Brands is dropping lower and lower. Hit in by FMB. Beautiful ton for strikes, but Fluxo is rolling this fight. Redbird does not even get away. House with the shock blast takes him out. It's a double kill for the mid laner, and an absolute statement here in this team fight by Fluxo.
They didn't even have their late game scaling Kale. Tay was soloing Drake, and they won the fight 4v5 just because Furia were making too many mistakes. Envy, you cannot teleport for a backline flank like that next to House. You're just going to get blown up. You are not that tanky on this Rise. You're the main damage dealer. You have to help them play front to back. And by that point as well, Goot goes forward with these cease and desist completely away from his team. You didn't have the support of Trigo and Redbird, so they're caught trying to pick up the pieces as their jungler drops, and it's just an absolute flub of a fight when they had to take advantage of Tay not even being present.
And the thing you gotta talk about is the utilization of this Vi as well, right? Is it the play to go for this Maokai to try and burst the front line while the enemy is playing for poke, playing for the long game basically? Do you not rather look for some hard engages, try to pick someone like House, like Brands from the backline and just dive deep? Yes, it is difficult with Tay and the Divine Judgment coming in, but I don't feel the Maokai is working, right? And by now the game has run so much out of control. What can Furia even do with 8k gold down?
They have to line up a miracle fight, but they're going on the front line again.
Yep. Good, trying to make something work. Chain of Corruption following up. Brands does not know any mercy. FMB still looking for a little bit of an angle, trying to do something on the flank here. The Taunt for strikes are coming in. The good footwork going all out with Tay and the 1v1 over the wall. But he goes golden, and FMB has to run for the hill. Another shock blast coming through, and Tay makes quick work of him with his flash. That it was basically just a formality. Beautifully done by Fluxo. They claim the game in 32 minutes and say, we are back. We are still here in CBLOL in this first season of 2023.